Hello everyone! I hope you're all having a great Sunday, and I know some of you might be thinking, dude, why are you showing us a bullet game? Well, the reason is, this bullet game has far less mistakes than a lot of classical games I show you. The reason is, it's played between world champion Magnus Carlsen and Grandmaster Andrew Tang, who is, all around famous on the internet. He plays so fast that, like Peter Pan, they say he moves faster than his shadow. And this is from the first title event on Lichess. It was a bullet tournament held for titled players, and probably everyone thought that Penguin IM1, also known as Andrew Tang, would win this tournament, but in the end he got third place. First place went to Grandmaster DannyTheDonkey, who was actually Magnus Carlsen, although at the time tournament was played, no one actually knew it was Magnus Carlsen. And the second place went to a username called Bombe Granate, who I have no idea who he is. A lot of players were saying that that's actually Fabiano Caruana, but if anyone knows, do share in the comments. So let's see this game. We have e4 and e6. Andrew goes for the French defense. D4, d5, and e captures on d5. Carlsen goes for the exchange variation of the French, and I know a lot of you heard Mikhail Tal saying that the exchange variation of the French, when you're playing with the white pieces, is a crime against chess. But then again, I'm sure you all know the famous sentiment by John Lilly in his Euphues, all is fair in love and war. I would extend this to all is fair in love, war, and the bullet, because at these time controls, anything goes. E captures on d5 and bishop to d3. So knight to f6, knight to f3, bishop to d6, Carlsen castles, Tang castles, and c4. We have h6, c5, bishop to e7 now, and knight to c3. Knight to c6, bishop to b5, bishop to d7, now rook to e1, a6, kicking the bishop away, Carlsen captures, Tang captures, and now knight to e5, and bishop back to d7. We have queen to f3 and bishop to e6. And this is a beautiful setup for Carlsen, the knight on e5 and the d4 c5 pawn. It's very tricky. Black can never really destroy this pawn center. If he pushes b6 at any point, he will get c6, and then this pawn on c6 will be a monster. So bishop to f4 by Carlsen, rook to e8, and rook to e3 now. Carlsen is preparing to double up on the e file. Bishop to f8, rook 8 to e1, now Carlsen doubles up, and queen to c8. And till this position, until this move 17, it was actually it was pretty much a perfect game played. There were no inaccuracies on either sides, and here Andrew goes for the first inaccuracy. He plays queen to c8. A better move was g5, but after queen to c8, he allows Carlsen to capture the h6 pawn, with idea of bishop captures. Now if you capture back, you lose the knight on f6. So this would require some calculation, which isn't really something you want to go for when playing a bullet game. After knight to g4, now knight captures, bishop captures, now your bishop and queen are attacked. But after queen to g3, simply rook captures and bishop captures rook, bishop e6, and you end up being up a pawn. Now this might seem funny to you, dude. Why would you risk so much time calculating being up a pawn in a bullet game? But these guys are so good at these time controls that a pawn up is actually probably winning the game. But after queen to c8, Carlsen doesn't go for this. He goes for h3, and he has a plan. c6 now, and like I said, it's very hard to develop for black. If you push b6 trying to destroy white center, you simply get c6, and this pawn is controlling the entire queen side. You're gonna have a terrible time playing this, especially at low time controls. So after h3, c6 was played, but now knight to a4. Now Tang allowed Carlsen to bring his knight to b6, and there's really nothing you can do about this. Queen to d8, not allowing knight b6 with a tempo on the queen and the rook, but knight to b6 all the same, rook to b8, and now knight to d3, opening up a discovered attack from the bishop on f4, and there is no way to save the rook here. So rook to a8, and now Carlsen, although it's bullet, very low time controls, 1 minute per player, bishop to e5, improving the position. There's no rush to capture that rook. Knight to d7, and knight captures on a8. Queen captures on a8, and knight to f4 now. Bishop to f5, bishop to d6 now, opening up an attack towards the rook on e8. Bishop to e4, blocking this, queen to g3, and knight back to f6. Bishop to f3, kicking the bishop, bishop to h7, and now rook captures. Knight captures, and we have bishop captures on f8. King captures, and knight to h5. Here, white is simply winning. Carlsen is threatening the capture on g7. Of course, the rook is attacking the knight on e8, which is defending the g7 pawn. So the threat is rook captures and then capturing on g7. And here Tang played queen to d8. He allowed such a tactic, but it doesn't really help if you play something like bishop to g6. Simply queen to h4. Now you can't capture the knight. Queen to e7 is a threat. If you capture queen e7, king goes capture, capture, capture. And after king h7, rook b8, you're losing all of these pawns. The bishop is too far away to protect any of the pawns. So after knight h5, Tang played queen to d8, and here we have rook captures with check, king captures, and now queen captures on g7. Bishop to g6, as the bishop was attacked on h7, now knight to f6 check, king e7, and now a beautiful move by Carlsen, aka DannyTheDonkey, queen captures on h6. You can't capture the knight, of course. If you capture it, queen h4 wins black queen. So after queen h6, queen to a5, but now comes queen e3 check, king d8, a3, queen b5, attacking the b2 pawn, b4, and queen to c4, king to h2, not allowing any queen drops with check like queen f1, although it wouldn't really help black. And here, after king h2, black doesn't really have a move. Any move he makes loses the game terribly. For example, you can't run away with the king or something like that. If king c7, then queen e7, king b8, knight e7 check, king a7, queen d6, threatening queen b8 checkmate. There is no way to threaten white king. He's very safe on h2. a5, queen b8 check, king a6, queen a8 check, king b5, queen captures on a5. This is checkmate. So after king h2, Tang tried bishop to f5, at least maybe trying to protect the d7 square to avoid some checks, but simply queen to e8 check, king to c7, and now queen to e5 check, checking the king and attacking the bishop on f5. And in this position, Penguin IM1 or Andrew Tang resigned the game. You can't really do anything here. If you play king c8, you lose the bishop with tempo. If you try king d8, then you're simply getting checkmated. Queen checks, bishop covers, queen here check, king has nowhere to go, bishop has to block, and queen captures on d7. This is checkmate. So although it was a bullet game, I mean, it's incredibly precise how these players play at such low time controls. I remember last year in December when I was watching the finals of the Speed Chess Championship on chess.com. Carlsen was playing against Nakamura. And okay, you have 3 time controls in that match. And when they reached the bullet section, I thought, man, now Nakamura is gonna mop the floor with Carlsen. But that was not nearly the case. You know, Carlsen really destroyed him in every segment. I don't think if he destroyed him in bullet, but I don't think Nakamura had any upper hand there. So I really thought that, I mean, especially against Andrew Tang, who is like so fast. I often watch his games, and it doesn't matter what he plays. If he plays bullet, hyper bullet, ultra bullet, he always goes berserk. And going berserk at ultra bullet is like 15 seconds per player, and then you go berserk, you get 7.5 seconds, and he actually plays a decent game in these 7.5 seconds. So it's quite amazing how Carlsen can rumble with these guys at these time controls. Obviously time control doesn't matter. If you're a good player, you're a good player in any time control. So yeah, that's the game. I would like to thank Steven Transansky, Mark Guidarelli, and Anjabro33 for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. And I forgot to mention, Carlsen won $500 for winning this tournament, and he donated those $500 to Lichess to add to the prize for the next titled event. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon.